Everybody should really give a round of applause to the Second Amendment Foundation, to Alan, to Julianne, to Peggy, and the staff for a wonderful, wonderful conference. This is not an easy thing to pull off. I've done conferences and I know. So I'm going to try to keep my remarks brief. We're talking about the media. This is something that I do for a living. I've done for a living for a long time. I think we can say fairly easily that most of us in this room don't consider the media our friend when it comes to gun rights. But that doesn't mean they can't become your friends, or at least maybe frenemies along the way. And I think this is where it's incumbent upon us to do things to make this happen. Everybody in the media is busy. These reporters, the system has changed. They're not doing the kind of work that they were 20 years ago. Newspapers aren't what they used to be. Broadcast television has changed. All of these things, cable television. Now we see more of a move to the internet and the way people get their news. Now you can do things with the media, quickly. Their information is fairly public. You can find their email addresses usually through the newspaper or the station. You can usually find their Facebook account, their name, or their Twitter handle or something like that. You can build a relationship. You can build some contacts if you use those kinds of things. So that's one thing. When you're talking with the media, when you're talking with anybody really, is that arm yourselves with the facts. Okay, I'm not trying to use, but that is really, really important, because the facts are the facts. The facts actually favor our side. But what happens with the media is that with a lot of these things, it's not that they're necessarily overly liberally biased all the time, but they tend to be very ignorant of the facts when it comes to gun rights. So it's incumbent upon everyone in this room to use that, to study, to bone up on the facts, and to have those facts at the ready. You can do that very easily now, thanks to the internet, to be able to do enough research to go through those things. So I think if you do that, I think you're going to be you'll be well armed, as we say. Now, my other thing too, my big passion with this is using social media. Social media is extremely important in the battle on gun rights. Everybody, or the large percentage of the population now, is using Facebook, they're using Twitter. These are ways to do this. If you're really that passionate about gun rights, you own a firearm, you're thinking like this, think about social media as another tool in your toolbox, but also as another weapon. Facebook, I want you to be passionate using social media to express your feelings about gun rights. These things, now you might think, oh, well, I only have, 5 friends, or I only have, what I do with Facebook is I put up a lot of cat videos. Well, if you're doing that, you're doing it wrong, okay? I'm sorry. You may love cats, but spending all your time with cat videos is not going to advance the cause of gun rights. But you can do this, because what happens? Your number of followers on Twitter, your number of friends on Facebook, everything that you do is potentially shareable, potentially retweetable, so that you amplify your voice by many times. You don't even know sometimes the effect that has, but you can just see that by doing that. Now, what everybody in this room should be doing as well is that you should be using it now. If you haven't been using Facebook, if you've been using Twitter, things like this to do things about this conference at this moment, then you better get on your phones, get on your tablets, get on your computers, and do something now, because that is another way of doing this and expressing that message. Instagram, if you don't really know what to do with how to write a post or to send a tweet, you can pretty much take a picture. How many people take pictures with their cameras, with their phones? All the time. Instagram is a very easy way to do that. And it backfeeds the other way. You can link that to Twitter, to your Facebook account. You get all of that all in one setting. It's a wonderful way of pushing that out. We're a very visual society. People look at pictures, people look at graphs, they take that, that's an immediacy, they retweet that, they send that out, they share it. It has just an enormous effect by when you go out there and you just go kind of boom with all of that. One of the things that's effective for the other side, something that we need to do a little bit more of, is emotion, is use emotion. Emotion is, why do we have Ferguson? Why do we have all these problems? I come from Maryland. In my backyard basically was Freddie Gray. What happens here? It's the emotion of these people, of the anti-gun rights people, who are out there and they're expressing themselves, and then they just suck up all the air in the room basically, and they do this. If we had that same passion, that same emotion, there are stories, as Alan Coren, who you'll hear from later, he goes around saying guns save lives. Well, duh, yeah, it does, but let's go and tell that message. let's go tell the people, and let's show the people, and let's go find those people who've had their lives saved by that, and let's do it, and let's do it now.